All right. Good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for joining the second episode of Connecting on the Roaming Road, a series that I started about 3 weeks ago. And I have my second interview here tonight with Tucker and Janae. I'm so excited. Welcome, guys, to Connecting on the Roaming Road.
Hi there. Thanks for having us.
Yeah, absolutely. So you both are in your 20s and you are located currently right now in Utah. Is that correct?
Yes, we're in Moab, Utah, and I'm gonna go ahead and just put a little disclaimer out there. My dog's sitting right there, like so mad at us, so he's probably gonna be whining. If you hear dog noises, that's what it is.
I say bring him up. Unless he's not allowed on the couch, then that's a no.
He's a hog. All the attention.
You have a fur baby on the road.
We do, yes.
Okay. How old is your dog?
So he's almost 2. He'll be 2
in April.
Yeah, in April.
Okay. So he's been on the road with you guys the whole time?
Bought him on the road, and he's lived on the road ever since.
Oh, really?
Old, yep.
So tell me a little more about this journey. So right now you guys are in your 20s. Tucker, you're from Texas?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And Janae, you're from Illinois?
Yes.
Okay.
Good memory.
So how did let's just start from the beginning. How did you guys meet?
My dad's business, and we actually met at church in Illinois. Janae's grandpa was pastor, and had family. Our families were friends, and
We were pretty young. I was probably 10 or 12 when we
12.
first met. 12?
I was probably 15 or 16.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Together until like 2017, but we knew each other for a really long time.
That's amazing. So you've known each other for a while, and then you got married in 2017.
So we started dating in 2017 and we got married in 2019.
Okay. All right. And then after you got married, did you guys know you were hitting the road? Was that in the plans?
Yeah. So originally we didn't know where we wanted to live because I'm from Texas, she's from Illinois. We didn't know where we wanted to settle down exactly. So she came to me one day and suggested
I had this crazy idea.
buying a fifth wheel and hitting the road until we see the country while we didn't have kids.
So we went on our honeymoon in Scotland, and literally the week after we got back from our honeymoon, we moved into the RV and hit the road.
Oh my God, what an awesome story. So, Tucker, did you think it was a crazy idea, or were you for it?
A little bit of a crazy idea at the time.
It took a little convincing,
Yeah.
but he finally, I mean, I'm kind of speaking for both of us, but we do really love it.
We do.
That's
Glad
awesome.
we did.
That's so awesome. So my story is kind of similar because, let's see, it was probably July of 2019. I turned to my boyfriend, and I was working full time at a hospital. I was probably pulling, 50, 60 hours a week. And I turned to him and I go, what if we just bought an RV and we just traveled? And he was like, yeah, okay, like brushed it off. And then a couple weeks later, I came back and I was like, so I'm still for this. And a couple months later, we had bought a Ford Winds Motor C drivable 1996 RV, and we took off of November of last year, and we lived in the RV for 3.5 months, and then COVID hit. So we came home after that. But it's amazing that you guys have been doing this for as long as you have. So it's been what, a year and a half now?
Yeah, a little over, about a year and 8 months.
Okay. All right. And do you guys what do you guys typically do in terms of like staying places? Do you stay for a week and then hit the road again? How does that look?
Kind of varies.
Yeah,
Some
it really just
places will stay
depends.
for a month. Some places will stay for a couple of days. It just kind of depends on how well we like the area and how much there is to do.
We usually move every week to two, especially in the summer. Um, Currently, we're actually at an RV park for the entire month of December because I wanted to decorate for Christmas and I didn't want to have to take everything down every time that we moved. So we decided to stick around in one spot just for a month so that I could have all my Christmas decorations up, and then we'll move again in January.
That's awesome. So you're in Utah right now for the month of December. Do you know where you'll go in January?
Not yet. We've got a few places that, are kind of kicking around, but we didn't even know that we were coming here until about a week before we did.
So you guys really live like spur of the moment. You guys don't plan out a year's time. You kind of just go where you want to go.
Yeah. Sometimes we'll have a general idea. Like we knew that we wanted to spend some of the summer up in Montana, but we didn't know exactly when. And we ended up being up there for August. Yeah, in September. And then we knew that we would be headed into Utah in October, but we didn't know how long we'd stay. And we certainly didn't think we would stay through January, but that's just kind of what happened.
Yeah. Yeah. I kind of like that style of planning because it leaves a little bit of mystery, and then you don't get too worked up if the plan doesn't work out.
Right.
I like
Yeah.
that.
We've always been pretty spontaneous.
Yeah. Okay. So, I guess like one of the dire questions is I think that a lot of people want to do the RV life, the van life, but they're not sure how to make it feasible. Like, how do you guys make that work? Paying bills, like doing all of that stuff. I'm sure you guys work and whatnot, but like, how do you guys take that work remote?
So we are considered digital nomads. We both work from our phones. He's in financing, I'm in social media, and basically we just have to make sure that we have self-service and that it's strong enough, that I can do work calls, he can do work calls, that it doesn't interfere with that. There have been times when we've shown up to a place and the self-service has just been horrible and we've had to leave.
Yeah.
So we kind of have to be flexible with that, but more often than not, we can make it work out.
Okay. So did you guys have remote jobs lined up before you hit the road full time?
He did. My job, I sort of started out on my own, blogging and running my own adventures with Tucknae social media. And then after we'd been full-timing for a while, I was able to get a job in community management on a social media platform as well.
That's so awesome. Well, congratulations on that. So I think now that we're kind of in this COVID era, I think so many more people are online, and a typical 9-to-5 desk job has turned into remote living. What is your best advice in terms of like a transition? Like if you're talking to another couple that they both have remote jobs, but they're not really sure how to take this on the road, what would be your best advice?
I would say, we've talked to a few people about this. With, like you were saying, with COVID right now, a lot of jobs are going remote, and sometimes all it takes is, if you're already working from home, just ask your boss, hey, what do you think about us continuing to work from home so that we could travel as well? What would that look like? Or even there's a lot of people hiring people that are staying at home right now as well. There's probably far more jobs available for people remotely than there were 2 years ago, would be my guess.
Yeah, I definitely think so. So that's why, this lifestyle seems a little more feasible than it ever has.
Right.
And
I would
definitely.
But every area you enjoy working in, wherever your expertise is, just look for a remote job that relates to that.
Yeah, absolutely. I know for me at least, I had a hard time transitioning my mind from like a desk to remote. And I kind of did all of that while living in the RV. So I had to kind of separate the two and figure out how to make it work. Because when you're in an RV, it's like, I kind of just want to go outside, or I want to go for a hike, or I want to do this. But I'm like, no, I have to set this work time and like treat it like a normal day.
It takes more focus for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so what are some of your favorite things about being on the road, like being full-time RVers? Like, what would you say some of the pros are right now in your 20s living in an RV instead of buying a house and doing that lifestyle?
Well, there's a lot of pros. I mean, right now we've got mountains as a view out our bedroom windows, so we wake up and there's snow-capped mountains, so
They're
that's
gorgeous.
a perk. Be anywhere we want, so follow the, what do they call it, the 75 degrees or whatever. It's colder than that right now, but and we've got, I don't have a house to take care of or a yard to mow.
Yeah, and the freedom to set our own pace and do whatever we want to do whenever we want to do it. I'm gonna get the dog. Second.
Yeah. Oh,
Crazy. Hopefully he doesn't knock our camera over. No. Down. We've been working on projects, so he's got extra energy tonight.
gotta take him for a run.
Yeah, definitely to do that.
Yeah, I mean, I only did it for 3 months and I wish I had done it longer. I loved it. We only did the East Coast, but I did get some traveling on the West Coast. So what's been your favorite part so far? Like, what's been your favorite section of the United States as of right now?
Probably the West.
Yeah, definitely the West.
Montana, Colorado, Utah, Nevada. Well, we haven't moved to Nevada.
New Mexico.
New Mexico.
Arizona.
Those states.
We prefer mountainous too. Yeah. I mean, we do like some. Obviously, we're in Utah, but the mountains are what our favorite is.
Yeah. Yeah, I can see that.
He's licking the camera stand, sorry.
That's awesome. Have you guys made it to the East Coast yet?
I've been to the East Coast a lot during my life.
We flew out to Pennsylvania for a business trip, and we were out there for about a week doing some sightseeing and stuff as well. But with the RV, we haven't been further east than Illinois, and that's not very far east.
Have you guys thought about possibly doing like Arcadia up in Maine and maybe like the Shenandoah Valley and those national parks?
Yes, we've talked about it.
We definitely want to see them for sure. We're just not sure if we want to take the trailer over there, or if we want to just like take a month and really focus on seeing everything East Coast and just like go from Airbnb to Airbnb. So we're not sure yet, but we definitely want to see everything.
Yeah. Definitely a lot of mountains, a lot of hills, nothing's flat. I'm from New Hampshire, so I can speak to this. Nothing's flat, so, obviously towing a trailer might be a lot, but you can do the whole East Coast probably in a 2-3 week time span and kind of highlight some key points. But if you do come to New Hampshire, you definitely need to check out the White Mountains. I call it the mini Colorado. It's so beautiful, especially in the summertime or in the fall time when the leaves are changing colors. If you were to come to New Hampshire, let's say end of October, it'll blow your mind. So there's some beautiful spots out here on the East Coast. I'm going to be moving to Virginia Beach in January, so you guys can always stop in and check out Virginia Beach.
Yeah. I would visit in the fall. I think that would just be gorgeous. It's always been a bucket list item of mine to visit the East Coast in the fall.
Honestly, nothing beats it. Like it's just so gorgeous. Like I'd probably say mid-September all the way through October is you'll look online every year. There's like 2 weekends that are like key leaf peeping weekends. And people literally will plan their family vacations around those 2 weekends. So if you can get ahead of it now and figure out what those weekends are for next year, you can start booking things and getting ahead of the game. Just because everything's going to fill up so fast.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, once you make that plan, reach out because I'd love to give you guys some spots to hit.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Yeah. Okay. So, how many national parks have you guys been to?
We've been to 15, and I just had to count this up on Sunday. I did like a "Do you know us very well" quiz on Instagram stories, and I had to count it up. So I couldn't remember how many we'd been to exactly, but I can say with certainty that it's 15.
I'll take my shoes off to figure it out.
You probably had to go through all your pictures and figure out which ones.
Well, so what I did was I Googled a national park checklist, and then I like went down it by state and was like, okay, we've been there, haven't been there.
That's so awesome. Which one was your favorite?
This is a hard question, and I love it because I love national parks, but I hate it at the same time because I hate having to choose one. I think Rocky Mountain National Park is probably our favorite.
Collectively, Rocky Mountain's probably our favorite. Arches
We also,
is a close.
we loved Arches. We loved Glacier National Park, Bryce Canyon National Park.
It's hard to lump them all together too because they're so different.
Right.
Like Arches here, you're in the desert. Right now it's cool and it's all sandy and whatnot. But then you go to Rocky Mountain National Park and it's the mountains. There's pine trees and although there's mountains here at Arches too, but it's a totally different
They're just
climate.
so different.
Yeah.
And then you go up to Glacier and you've got like the bluest water you've ever seen. And it's just, it's beautiful.
Sometimes when I'm at these national parks, I don't even feel like I'm in the United States.
Right.
Like you just feel like you're in another world, and it's so crazy that they can all just be so different. Like you can have Zion, and then down in Florida you have the Everglades, and it's just this massive like river with alligators and snakes. Like it just can be so different.
Right. They're nothing alike.
So how long do you guys plan on being on the road?
Oh, at first it started off we were just going to do this for a year, but when we decided to do it while we didn't have kids, and
we fell in love with it way more than we thought we would. So at this point, we're almost to 2 years, and we have no plans to stop anytime soon. I think realistically, in the next 3 to 5 years, we want to have a house and start a family and stuff like that, but we'll probably always keep the RV and always at least travel part-time.
Yeah, I love that. Would you ever, with the way life's going and kids going to school remote, would you ever consider being a schoolie family? Have you heard?
You mean like wait, okay. So schoolie, you mean like a school bus or like homeschooling?
So there's, it's like homeschooling on the road. So, or maybe they would be enrolled in like virtual learning courses and you would just be traveling and they would have online courses.
Yeah. So that's actually our ultimate plan, to be able to do that with our kids someday.
That's so awesome. Well, when that time comes, I'll be interviewing you again and you'll have kids running around. And then you have to get a bigger RV.
Right.
Well, this one
its way in.
This one's set up. It's got a bunk bed upstairs, and then it's got a bunk room in the back. So we just have to eliminate some stuff.
Do you guys have one of those RVs that are like nicer than most houses?
Yes.
It's an apartment on wheels is what we call it.
I mean, I lived in the 1996 model, and that was, we were bombing it. But I have been in some RVs where I'm like, holy crap, this is nice.
Yeah, ours is a 2021, and we're remodeling it too to like make it our own. So it's pretty modern.
Did you just say you have a 2021 RV?
I did.
Do you have an RV that it's not even the year yet?
Yes, ma'am. They've got a lot of them out though. They
do that.
2021 models 6 months before 2021. So
No,
every
even
year.
before that.
Yeah, maybe. We ordered ours in April.
I want to say it's like
2020.
8 or 9 months before.
So did you guys had a different RV then when you started the trip?
Yes,
Right.
ma'am.
We started out in a 2019.
Okay. And then were you able to roll that out, have some equity into it, and get into a new one?
Yeah, so we traded it in with the same original dealer. Once we decided that we did want to do this longer term than just 1 year, after having lived in our trailer for as long as we did, we kind of knew exactly what we wanted in a trailer. You kind of get a better idea. And so we found a layout that worked a lot better for us. It was shorter, but seems to have more space. Honestly, more storage space, and it just was way more practical for our situation than the one that we originally had. So we did end up trading that one in for the one we have now.
That's awesome. Congratulations. Does it have a lot of slide outs?
It's got one, two,
It's got
four
four.
slides.
Okay.
One you about it is it actually has a slide out the back of the RV. So when you're driving, it's shorter, but when you're stationary, you can put that slide out the back and it makes it feel even longer than it is.
That's great. What a nice amenity. Do you does it have 2 bedrooms? You think you mentioned bunk beds, Tucker?
Yeah, so it's got a loft up above the bunk room. So there's a bunk room in the back and then a loft above that. So technically you could have 3 kids upstairs and 1 or 2 kids in the back, and then we master suite up in the front.
That's awesome. That is so awesome. Yeah, I know. I saw you showed your kitchen a little before we started recording, and you had it all decorated.
I do, yes. And we're in the middle of some serious projects right now, or I would turn it around and show it to everybody. But there's just stuff everywhere. I've got paint all over my hands to prove it.
Took one bunks out in the back and made it into a closet.
Yeah, we're doing some modeling.
So do you guys find yourself remodeling a lot and fixing things? Do you do it all yourself?
Do it all ourselves, yes.
We kind of do it as we find the time. Like we were doing some projects back in September quite a bit. We remodeled our bathroom and bedroom upstairs completely.
And by redecorate, but anyway.
Well,
we
I mean,
redid
like
the
painting and wallpaper,
paint.
and then like we would modify spaces to be more like how we need them, kind of like what we're doing with the back bunk room right now. We're leaving the top bunk, but the bottom one got taken out, and that's turned into a
40-inch
closet
with,
and also we have Cap's crate put back there as well. So just kind of like by remodeling, we're not like completely tearing everything apart. We're just making this space better suited to fit our needs.
Better utilizing it for us.
Right.
I mean, closet space is always a plus.
And this our huge window in the on the front of the RV in our bedroom. So our last one, we actually had a closet right there, and there was so much more space. But now we have this big window, and then we have 2 small closets on either side. So we definitely traded in closet space, but the view is totally worth it.
That's awesome. Sounds like it was a good adjustment. Um, so, not to dive into, your finances or whatever, but are you guys able to save some money while you're doing this? Do you find this style of life a lot more cost effective?
Very much so for us, especially because we love boondocking and free camping. So we save a lot by doing that. And even if you do stay at an RV park, I mean, you can sometimes find an RV park for $500 or $600 for a month, and that's a lot cheaper than rent usually even is.
Even if we need to stay at an RV park for laundry or something after being on boondocking for a week or two, we generally find one that we've got a discount thing. Like we've got a discount to Passport America. We got a lifetime membership for that.
It gives us 50% off of whatever RV parks that we stay at through them.
So if you find a $20, $30 RV park, you can sometimes just pay $10 or $15 and stay there for 1 or 2 nights, do your laundry and fill up with water and dump the tanks, and then go back to boondocking.
Right.
So it like one month this year we traveled for $1,000 for the month. So
you is tempted to spend money on stuff because you don't have places to put it, and you just have to be far more intentional with what you do choose to buy. So I found that helps us to save money as well.
That's amazing. So, a young couple in their 20s really could even save money by traveling the country.
Right.
Then
save enough money that we can buy land and build a house someday. So
yeah, that's amazing. So, I think many people don't decide to take this route because there's a fear behind it. Like there's no security, like, living on the road. But essentially, if you play your cards right and you're laying the plan out correctly, you could actually come out financially ahead if you're smart about it for a couple years while seeing all the things you've always wanted to see.
Right. And it really just depends on each individual person and how frugal they choose to be. You could stay at a KOA or some super nice RV resort and spend up to $150 a night if you chose to, or you could be like us and stay at the RV parks that, they might not have the fanciest swimming pools or the best facilities, but they've got water and electric and sewer, and that's what we need. And so, we'll save quite a bit of money by doing that.
Yeah, absolutely. I have a few more questions and then we'll get this wrapped up. Do you ever do any full-time RV coaching, like life coaching for people that are trying to get this going for themselves?
I actually have people message me, especially on Instagram, all the time asking for questions or help getting going, and I am always happy to help people out and answer as many questions as I can.
That's awesome. And Tucker, it sounds like you have the mechanical side and the handsy side of the RV stuff down, so I'm sure people might have some questions about that too.
All the social media and all that stuff Janae does, I don't really mess with.
If I get a question that I don't know the answer to, I'm like, hey, what do I tell these people?
Well, I love it. I think it's amazing what you guys are doing. So kind of stepping outside of the comfort, do you guys have a biggest fear while you've been on the road, or are you kind of past the fear part?
This is pretty much just normal to us. And I know to so many people it's abnormal, but this is our normal. So I would say there's not really anything
I think probably
major.
the biggest thing that we struggle with is driving through mountain passes. It's a little scary on those days just because you got a big 37-foot trailer that weighs twice what your pickup weighs, and you're going down 8. What's the steepest grade we've been down? 12?
Like 12% grades, and those are a little sketchy. So those travel days can be stressful.
That's probably the scariest thing that we do.
Yeah.
So you mean like coming down a mountain with the trailer behind you, like at high speeds with trucks?
Well, not high speeds.
Well,
The pass I've done is Teton Pass at the
It was
Grand
horrible.
Tetons.
Horrible. I'm going to be brutally honest. I was sitting in the passenger seat, shaking so hard, bawling my eyes out. I was like, sure, we were going to die that day. While we were getting ourselves into until it was like too late and we were already committed. So we had to go up and down this mountain pass. And
it's not one I would recommend, but the guy at the RV park said you won't have any trouble. The GPS, you won't have any trouble. I mean,
there were no semis, no trailers. I mean, it's all these little cars and then us with our big rig. And I mean, going down, there's all these big flashing signs. Do not exceed 25 miles an hour. And here we are, and he can't get it to go below 45 miles an hour. And I'm just like praying that we don't die. But
I would have called the guy who recommended it and been like, you want to know what we just went through?
Right.
Oh my goodness.
Afterwards as well.
Well, a few closing questions before we hop off. What would you, and this is a little more personal, what would you guys tell your 16-year-old selves? Because I'm sure you never pictured this being where you were at when you were 16, but looking back now, what would you tell your 16-year-old selves?
I would probably tell myself not to rush life, like to just enjoy the season that we're in, because you always think the next one will be better, and rather than, constantly looking forward to what's next, just stopping and enjoying what we're in right now. And I think we've finally gotten to the place where we can do that. People are always saying, when are you going to have kids? When are you going to get a house? When are you going to settle down? And we're just like, we're just trying to enjoy right now. So I wish that we would have had, or at least I wish I would have had that mindset back then as well. What about you?
What about you, Tucker?
Yeah, you only live once, and 16, yeah, you're 16 for a year. That's the year that you get your driver's license and all that stuff. But before long, you get to a point where life is going so slow that you want it to speed up. But then I know I've got there. Now it just flies by, and I wish it could slow down sometimes.
Yeah, that's a great point. I feel that same way. When I was in high school, things were going so slow for me. And now that I'm in my 20s, it's like I can't get things to slow down. So your points really line up. Like, just enjoy the moment, enjoy the season. Like you said, Janae, like that's what life's about. Because all of a sudden we're going to be in our 50s and our 60s, and we're going to wish we had done those things. And I think that's a huge point of what the Roaming Road is help people do things that you guys are doing, taking life for what it is right now and living out your passions and your dreams.
Right. I agree.
All right. Well, where can people find you? Where can people find out more information?
So you can primarily find me on Instagram. It's Adventures with Tucknae is our handle. We also have a blog, adventureswithtucknae.com. We have Facebook, Pinterest, Twitter, like you name it, we're probably on it, and you can find us everywhere with the same Adventures with Tucknae.
Okay, so Adventures with Tucknae on Instagram. There's a website, all of that fun stuff.
Yep.
Awesome. All right, well, is there anything else you want to tell listeners, like anybody out there watching this, dreaming about this, anything you want to tell them?
I would just say, if you're thinking about it, do it. If there's any way that you can, just do it. Jump in. Don't be afraid. Don't let things hold you back out of fear. As long as you have the means and the ability to do it, go for it.
I love that. All right, guys. Well, thank you so much for taking this time out of your night and doing this. Again, you're on the second episode of Connecting on the Roaming Road, and it's been a pleasure having you. And hopefully, a couple months or a couple years down the road, we'll be doing this again.
Yeah, that'd be fun. So much for having us. I appreciate it.
Yes. Thank you so much.